Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Russell's Reserve 15-year-old 2024 bottling. Dustin, comes in at 58.6% ABV, but you say this is proof down.
It has been proofed down for tasting. By the way, look how dark that is, Mike.
That is a super dark whiskey.
That makes like the darkest bourbons I own look like water. It's incredible.
Yeah, let's get to it, Dustin. What can you tell us about it?
So, I don't know. I've not heard anything on this being older whiskey, by the way. I just heard basically it's 15-year-old whiskey. I have heard these are all Camp Nelson barrels. Mm-hmm. And they proofed it down, I guess, for tasting because apparently the majority of the barrels they were finding were hazmat, which is crazy because that's not something normal at all. These have been procured from for the last 15 years. Eddie Russell has been setting this group of barrels, which was a lot because there's 50,000 bottles of this. This is not a small release, although it's still a hard one to get because it's so in demand. Mm-hmm. And this is rare here, Mike, but you have Eddie and Jimmy Russell's names and signatures on this bottle. So that's rare you get both those guys signing off. That tells you this is something special.
Yeah, when you said they were hazmat cast, I was like, those guys usually don't put out big ABV bottlings at all.
They put out a 17-year, that cast strength that was under 50% years ago.
Dustin, I'm excited. You guys, you've been talking about this quite a bit. A few people around work were talking about it. So
gotten a lot of hype.
A lot of hype. Let's get to it.
Dark. That is dark.
Dark cinnamon, dark oak, dark chocolate furniture polish.
When I talk about ultra-aged bourbons, I usually start around the 15-year mark. You can go a little younger, but 15 is really kind of that nice sweet spot for the ultra-aged whiskey. Mm-hmm. And usually you get just this incredible, punch of just insanely sweet vanilla. And that is not here. This is dark, dry, and yet, Mike, not super spicy.
A little bit of spice.
There is spice, but it's like wood spice. It's not rye spice. This is just very assertive, aggressive, dense, intense whiskey notes where the wood has just imparted incredible notes, but yet it's oaky, but it's not the traditional heavy oak note. It's oak spices and other things. It's really unique.
Yeah, the oak note definitely is not overpowering. It's not over oaked by any stretch of the imagination, at least on the nose. The spice notes come off a little piney to me. A little piney, but everything else is so dark, man. It's like the Ungoliant of bourbons. It just casts a shadow over everything. This is such a dark smell.
Yeah, I mean, really what I kind of get is you've just got intense, aged leather.
Sure.
Aged in a barn next to the hay where they've dried it out.
Maybe next to some
tobacco. Dried, I was going to say dried tobacco.
Yeah, there's a little twinge of tobacco.
And then the vanilla notes are intertwined in that, but they just can't get away from the spice of that tobacco and that rich, dry leather.
That vanilla is so dirty, it's not even white anymore.
No, it has been through that. Then there's a molasses with cinnamon that has come in.
Definitely a red note to it. Molasses, I like that. Just the whole darkness of the experience.
You're right. There is a redness. It's almost again, fall leaves. I mean, this is a barn in fall. The leaves have fallen.
Something like chocolate cherry.
Somebody was having some apple cider outside. It's probably... And they heated the apple cider, so that kind of note's coming through.
Dark cherry.
Yeah, definitely dark cherries.
Geriatric honey. Honey just is so old. No one ever got to it.
And this is almost like a cough drop cherry, hard candy in the distance.
There is a cherry note to it as well.
Because there's a medicinal note in there too with it.
That cherry note will just whisk me into a light tobacco note.
If it's possible to burn to honey, there's a little of that here.
But that's what it's kind of saying with the old honey that was abandoned that's really old or something. It's just, it's honey, but it's just sticky and it's been there for a long time.
It's got a drying note on the nose that comes through. If you hadn't told me this was wild turkey on the nose, I would think this is a slightly off-profile Heaven Hill. Do you remember the St. Nick 13-year-old we did as a versus with something else years ago, Mike?
I do. I also kind of saw some similarities to that 12-year Heaven Hill that you had too, the purple label one. There is sort of a creamy darkness to it that kind of reminds me of that as well.
Those can get very drying and dark and without super spice, because I know you don't tend to like the the MGP or like the Four Roses where it gets a lot of rye spice notes.
Spice isn't my favorite thing. In rye is a little bit different. This isn't rye though.
No. What I'm getting at, I'm talking about bourbons with high rye content.
Yeah.
This isn't high in rye. Neither is Heaven Hill. So
Correct, right.
That's where I'm kind of getting to. But like, this is nothing like the Rhetorics that we had, which were super vanilla candy, just amazing sweetness.
Yeah, the vanilla is so tainted in this. It's chocolate and dirt.
Yeah.
Which is a weird combo.
This is like some kind of like super spiced tea or something's coming in here too, where you got a little bitterness.
Definitely bitter in here.
This is extremely bitter, but it's not oak bitter. Like, I've had bourbons that were just oak bitterness. This has some oak bitterness. This is probably over oaked for some people, for sure.
Dark chocolate on top of tart strawberry. And strawberry got burnt too.
I'm with you on the cherry, not the strawberry.
There is something.
I got black cherry.
There's something a little tartar than a cherry. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe blackberries?
That's sweeter to me, but
I mean like burned. Like,
yeah, possible. The tartness.
Just the tartness. I'm taking just like the blackberry tart, not the blackberry.
Yeah,
the tart note.
Yeah, I mean they kind of go hand in hand, but right, if you take the sweetness out of a normal blackberry and how tart it is, yeah.
I can get with you there, like a blackberry tartness.
It's almost like a strawberry Pop-Tart that just got, we set it 3 settings too high and it was just charred and burnt.
Yeah. Now, as I kind of move around, in the glass, every now and then I will get a nice little sweet spot where like the vanilla notes come through nice and clean. So I don't want to say this is without sweetness. It's got a lot. I tell you what, like, this is a punch in the face.
It's so dark, man.
Usually when it's this aromatic, it's driven by an incredible amount of sweetness. This is so dark and dirty. I can't believe it's so aromatic.
Yeah, it should be eating light out of the room.
Yeah, and I mean, like, because usually when it gets this dark and dirty, like, it comes off closed off, like something needs to come out. No, it's not closed off. This is punchy. I mean, you can smell this from a distance.
All right, now, Dustin, it's getting a little fudgy to me now. A little bit dense fudge.
There's dark chocolate and fudge. Yeah, I can get you. Yeah, as it's opening up, I am noticing it is getting a little sweeter.
I mean, you've had this open up for what? Couple weeks?
Couple weeks, and I mean, like, and I should say, like, if you ever get one of these, like, you almost feel like you get cheated because it starts like right here. It doesn't start at the up at the neck. At least mine didn't.
It's probably still the right unit of measure, obviously.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the person who got this got 2 of these, so I'm sure I got the one with a lower fill.
That makes sense. It's only
fair.
Yeah, only fair. That's business.
I mean,
he's doing you the favor.
Exactly.
You ain't doing him the favor.
He was doing his sister the favor because it was actually a friend's brother who got this and then shipped it to her and then shipped to me. It was a whole process to get this bottle. It was not easy.
That's what we gotta do these days. All right, Dustin, I'm going in for it. This smells dark and delicious. I mean, if I have made any of these notes sound like I'm not enjoying it, that's misrepresenting what I'm experiencing here.
It's confusing. I gotta say, Mike, I'm even getting like a dark burnt s'more right now. A little bit of like burned marshmallow and graham cracker came through. Something is burned on this thing for sure. I'm still just kind of. It's confusing me, Mike, because I can't think of a bourbon that's really been this dark.
Stinging oak and spice as soon as you swallow. You get distillery characteristic about 2 seconds after you swallow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all right there. That's much more recognizable. Doesn't come off nearly as dark on the palate as it did on the nose. Yeah, distillery characteristics come right back on it, doesn't it?
I'm shocked you saying it's not dark, man. This is dark.
I mean, it's not as dark as it was on the palate. It's still dark.
Oh man, it burns and stings.
It does. It's prickly.
Whew. It's drying. Like your mouth is just completely dried out. It is
gasoline
ripping everything out here.
Mm-hmm.
The intensity of flavor here is unprecedented, Mike. But yeah, it is. While I do get the funk of the turkey a little bit, I'm also getting off-profile Heaven Hill dry whiskeys big time on this.
I am. I just meant as soon as I swallowed, about 2 seconds later, I got 101. I got taking shots at 101 when I was 16 years old after a basketball game. You know what I mean?
I get you, man. I mean, it definitely has the turkey.
It came right down the center of my tongue.
I've always found that I think I like Heaven Hill decently more than Wild Turkey, but they have a lot of similarities in their profiles.
Yeah, you said at first you wouldn't notice it as this or that. Man, I tell you what, 2 seconds after you swallow, you know what you drank.
Okay, fair enough. I've found this one to be a little harder because it gives me so many Heaven Hill notes. But
all around it, you're right.
Off-profile Heaven Hill. This reminds me of, like, again, some of these, like, like kind of like some of the old Willets that are out there that you're like not sure because they're so drying and they're not sweet. Whereas turkey tends to be sweeter, man, and this ain't sweet.
Nope.
Water actually kind of closed the nose a little bit, Mike.
Slightly, yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird.
The chocolate notes are actually a little bit more milk chocolate now.
Yeah, it is. It went from dark, bitter chocolate to sweet milk chocolate. Lightly sweet.
Now I'm kind of getting that brownie note, but I'm getting almost nothing else. It's brownie and a hint of wooden vanilla.
The vanilla's still there. They're still there fighting. I don't know why. It's getting demolished in this fight. But it's there. You're right. It's still there.
It's like it's oak and vanilla, kind of 80% oak, 20% vanilla with brownies.
I mean, that spice reminds me of pine. I mean, there's quite a few things in the spice mix. The spice box, I'll say. There's a little bit of pine still.
To me, this is just antique oak cabinet.
I mean, there's definitely some polish in oak.
Been sitting in your grandmother's attic for 30 years. Less asbestos on there.
Twinge of cedar.
Hey, there probably was a cigar box in there somewhere too.
It was a twinge of jewelry box almost, yeah.
Well, now the tobacco notes are coming back out. I'm getting some cigar notes here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, jewelry box notes. Like the that velvet that's been in there, but it's like it's changed with time.
It's degraded back to whatever its base form was. Zima blue.
Oh, that is rich. Rich. And it's getting drier and drier as it...
Yeah, it's getting a little bit nutty, too, with water.
Yeah, there is a little bit of, like, maybe a walnut, but like a smoked walnut.
Yeah, it's a smoky nut, you're right.
Smoky walnut.
Smoked peanut, something like that. No, salty peanut, yeah.
You can convince me almond, maybe, but even almond's a little bit more red fruit, kind of, when you smoke it.
You could convince me peanut shell with a little bit of pepper on it.
I could see that, yeah. Maybe like a smoked macadamian. I've never actually had macadamian smoked, but that's kind of...
What you'd expect it to taste like?
Yeah, what I'd expect it to smell like. It's not a super, like, distinct nut. It's like a very subtle nuttiness.
The chalky chocolate is just a backbone of this experience.
Everything about this is chalky and dry. Like, that's maybe one of the best and worst notes here, is that it is very drying. Like, it's... Almost unpleasantly, it dries your tongue out so much, and even on the nose, like you're just like, man, like I need can we get some water running in here? Can we get a little bit of vapor?
Yeah. This is candy dropped in line at the Vortex at Kings Island in August.
So rich.
Now a little bit of caramel at the end with some water. I mean, it took a while to get here.
I was just gonna say on the palate. The caramel notes have really kind of come out because, yeah, I hadn't even thought of caramel up to now. And then it's all rich dark chocolate on the finish. Smoked dark chocolate. A little bit of artificial sweetener and the linger coming from the oak. God, it's just a...
Cocoa, chocolate, artificial chocolate, a little bit of Nesquik.
Still got hints of those marshmallows, like...
Maybe a twinge of graham cracker, spicy oak.
Burnt. But not
prickly,
but not over the top burned.
Like a little thorn of spice thrown in there, as you can chew on it right between your teeth and your gums. Just get you. Let you know you had a good time.
This is like Blackadder if you took the whiskey out and just left the the particles. You're just chewing on them.
The particles.
Just those oak particles.
Good one, Dustin. All right, Dustin. So whiskey score time. Your bottle, I go first. All right, so dark whiskey. I like dark whiskeys. Old oaky. Wood smoke. 89 out of 100.
Wow. Okay.
I was going with an 80. I'm going to go with the higher of the two.
I thought you were actually I actually in my head thought you were going to go 90 or 91. Just kind of based on some of the whiskeys we had in the past of this profile.
Maybe I'm undervaluing it, Dustin.
I'm an 88.
Talk to me. Oh, what are you talking about? I said 89.
You tend to like this style bourbon more than I do.
I do. You're right.
Which is kind of what I was thinking. Because I like the heavy vanillas more. You seem to like
as much
the darkness.
Just 1 point, not 3.
I thought you were going to go higher. So I'm an 88, Mike. In terms of wow factor, like intensity and flavor, this is a 94, 5. Like this is maybe one of the most intense wow, like just flavor bombs I've ever had.
You're going to remember it.
Yeah, this is an unforgettable whiskey, and maybe I should go higher just because of that. And like side by side, man, you can't even drink another whiskey next to this thing. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
But, I mean, dude, there's got to be a level of refinement to a whiskey at some point when you're scoring.
Not according to this blender.
And this guy, none of that. It's just big, bold.
I know at least one person who disagrees with you.
I know numerous people who disagree. I mean, I know tons of people calling this the whiskey of the year. They're saying this is one of the best whiskeys since like the 1990s from Wild Turkey.
It's a really good whiskey.
It's really good.
It's one of the better Wild Turkeys I can remember, for sure.
Yeah, but it's just, this is not refined. It's not crafted in a way to be like
this thing
rich
went
experience.
This thing went full meathead.
And
you never go full meathead. It went full meathead. I like it. I mean, for what it is.
Yeah. This is the equivalent of hiring Ronnie Coleman to be your personal trainer.
Yeah, buddy.
It's not going to work for you, buddy.
Yeah, not for you.
He's gonna tell you lightweight, and you're gonna be like, "That's 800 pounds, buddy."
Not with your genetics.
Yeah. How much growth hormone do I have to take? It doesn't matter. I can't take as much as you did, Ronnie.
All right, look. Here's the thing. For it being a 15-year-old bourbon, it could get over oaked.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's going to be a lot of people who say this is over oaked, Mike.
Well, it's dark. It's not over oaked. There's a difference.
I already know. I know a lot of people who consider this over oaked.
I'm not going to say they're wrong. I'm thinking what I think is they need to maybe go back to it and say, is it just super dark, chocolatey and chalky, or is it over oaked?
But that's coming from the oak? Like, there's nowhere else that is coming from but the oak. And if you find that offensive, which some do, it's the oak.
The oak may have imparted, but Turrishan, what I think is over oaked bourbon, it is an over oaked bourbon.
I agree.
I agree. Think of it.
But man, this is just, it is such a beast. The thing is, though, like when you add water, it really doesn't get better. You don't discover that, oh, there's a refined whiskey under here. It's just a beast. It's a monster, and that's cool.
This just melts the senses. It's like,
yeah.
You ever seen one of the Predator movies when they dump the liquid on there and just melts everything? It's like that. Melts the senses. What do we even drink after this?
Something heavy sherry.
Gasoline. Anyway.
Yeah.
Those are our thoughts on this particular one. If you guys had a chance to try this one, I'd like to know what you guys think. Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy Mike Tyson punch to the face whiskey drinking.
See you next time.